Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are covering imagination and faith. This is out of the Prayer of the Art of Believing by Neville Goddard. I wanted to cover this chapter because we are casting enchantments over people, whether unintentionally or intentionally. And I want to teach you guys, and I want to go over this because we can intentionally cast far stronger enchantments over people. And this actually covers telepathy, and it covers many other things that I have highlighted points of interest about. So I'm going to go over this now, and I want to dissect each part of this the way we can better understand this. Okay, so prayers are not successfully made unless there is rapport between the conscious and subconscious mind of the operator. Okay, so rapport means connection, basically. Okay, so you want to make a connection between the conscious. You want to impress the subconscious mind with your conscious feelings. Okay, so this is done through imagination and faith. So imagination is creating your imaginal act. You're creating your imaginal act. You're making it so real that you have no choice but to believe in it, which is faith. Faith is the belief that it's, or the confident expectation that something is going to come to you. Okay, so imagination, making it real, and faith. Okay, that is what it connects the conscious mind with the subconscious mind. Okay, so that's how you impress the subconscious mind. So that's why this chapter is so important, imagination and faith. By the power of imagination, all men, certainly imaginative men, are forever casting forth enchantments. And all men, especially unimaginative men, are continually passing under their power. Can we ever be certain that it was not our mother while darning our socks who began that subtle change in our minds? If I can, this is a point of interest, if I can unintentionally cast an enchantment over persons, there is no reason to doubt that I am able to cast intentionally a far stronger enchantment. Intentionally, okay? That's the key word here, intentionally. Everything that can be seen, touched, explained, argued over is to the imaginative man nothing more than a means, for he functions by reason of his controlled imagination. In the deep of himself, where every idea exists in itself and not in relation to something else. In him there is no need for the restraints of reason. Okay, so for the only restraint he can obey is the mysterious instinct that teaches him to eliminate all moods other than the mood of the fulfilled desire. So we see butterflies, not caterpillars. So, all right, guys, imagination and faith are the only faculties of the mind needed to create objective conditions. So imagination, creating your imaginal act and believe in it, and that is done through the realness. Once you make it 3D, once you make it three-dimensional, then it becomes real to you. That's why it's no effort at that point. If you can create an imaginal act that is as real as your world now, understanding what consciousness is, then you have no choice but to have that imagination and faith, the belief and the expectation that it's going to come. Okay, so the faith required for the successful operation of the law of consciousness is a purely subjective faith and is attainable upon the cessation of active opposition on the part of the objective mind of the operator. Okay, so it depends on your ability to feel and accept as true what your objective senses deny. Okay, so it depends on your ability to feel and accept as true, and the best way to do that is through your imagination. Okay, so and disregarding appearances, your objective world that is telling you otherwise. So neither the passivity of the subject nor his conscious agreement with suggestion is necessary. For without his consent or knowledge can be given a subjective order which he must objectively express. Okay, so that's when we get into telepathy here. It is a fundamental law of consciousness that by telepathy we can have immediate communion with another. To establish rapport, you call this subject mentally. Okay, so this is what he's talking about. If you want to telepathically give someone an auto-suggestion, this is how it is done. Okay, so focus your attention on him and mentally shout his name. You do all this in your imagination, okay? Focus your attention on him and mentally shout his name in your imagination, just as you would to attract the attention of anyone. Imagine that he is answered, okay? So you're yelling in your imagination. You're shouting his name, okay? So then you mentally hear his voice represent himself to yourself inwardly in the state you want him to obtain. Then imagine that he is telling you in the tones of ordinary conversation what you want to hear, okay? So whatever it is that you're trying to create or you're trying to commune with him or her, you want to do that in the tones of ordinary conversation, okay? So mentally answer him. So now you're answering. We're still doing all this in your imagination, okay? So Tell him of your joy in witnessing his good fortune. So in this specific act that Neville Goddard is talking about, he's saying that you are creating something for someone else. Okay, so you're creating good fortune in someone else's life. Okay, so tell him the joy of witnessing his good fortune, but you can use this for anything that you want. Okay, so this is not just limited to this particular what Neville Goddard is talking about here, about helping somebody else. You can do this for anything. So having mentally heard with all the distinctness of reality that which you wanted to hear, and having thrilled to the news heard, return to objective consciousness. Okay, so once you've done all this, you've made it super real because you're yelling. I mean, you're using this in your imagination. You're shouting someone else's name. They're talking back to you. You're responding to them. You're having a conversation. You're making it feel real. You're taking the tones of ordinary conversation. Okay, so you're mentally answering him. You're telling him of your joy of witnessing his good fortune. Okay, so your brain making this completely real. Okay, so thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. It is not a strong will that sends the subjective word on its mission so much as its clear thinking and feeling the truth of the state affirmed. Okay, so it is not so much the word on its mission so much as clear thinking and the feeling of the truth of the state affirmed. But if you want to make this real, okay, this is by experience. If you want to have faith, you want to believe in your imaginal act, you need to make it real. That's why I go over, all the different exercises that we do, developing the muscle of the mind to be able to create, a really vivid scene. So once you can make your scene as real as a 3D world, then you're going to believe it, because in your imagination it's just as real as this world, and your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're imagining and your 3D world. So, okay, that's why we go over all those things. Okay, so when belief and will are in conflict, belief invariably wins. Belief will always supersede. Okay, so always supersede will. Okay, so not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. It is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe to be true. Therefore, get into the spirit of these mental conversations and give them the same degree of reality that you would a telephone conversation. Okay, so you can do this, the telephone technique as well. Just hearing the word, okay, hearing somebody's voice and you talking to them and actually vividly creating that scene is also a direct way to have direct communion, or using telepathy and creating the scene. Okay, so therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. The acceptance of the end wills the means, and the wisest reflection could not devise more effective means than those which are willed by the acceptance of the end. Mentally talk to your friends as though your desires for them were already realized. So the example that he's giving here is helping everyone all of your friends, everyone in your life. Okay, so you are mentally talking to them, to your friends through your desires for them as if they were already realized. Okay, so that's what you are doing in this imaginal scene, the example that Neville Goddard gives. Okay, so imagination is the beginning of the growth of all forms, and faith is the substance out of which they are formed. By imagination, that which exists in latency or is asleep within the deep of consciousness is awakened, and it's given form. The cures attributed to the influence of certain medicines, relics, and places are the effects of imagination and faith. It goes back to the placebo effect as well. The curative power is not in the spirit that is in them. It is in the spirit in which they are accepted. Okay, the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. The subjective mind is completely controlled by suggestion. Okay, so your feeling. Okay, so what you're assuming to be true. So whether the object of your faith be true or false, you will get the same results. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to create. It doesn't matter, but you have to be able to consciously believe that what you've created is true. So you got to make it vividly real to you, like when he says about shouting someone's name. Okay, so and the subjective mind doesn't care whether it's true or false. You will get the same beliefs because the subconscious mind is not biased, it's impersonal. Okay, so it doesn't know the difference between what you're telling it to be true or false. Doesn't matter. It will harden into a fact. Okay, so There is nothing unsound in the theory of medicine or in the claims of priesthood for the relics and holy places. The subjective mind of the patient accepts the suggestion of health conditioned on such states, and as soon as these conditions are met, proceeds to realize health. According to your faith, be it done unto you, for all things are possible to him that believeth. Confident expectation of a state is the most potent means of bringing it about. Okay, confident expectation. Okay, just like if you were placing an order, you're ordering a pizza, you're ordering Chinese food, you have confident expectation that that pizza or that Chinese food is going to show up at your door. Okay, so that is the confident expectation that you need to have when you're trying to create these things. Okay, that's why I emphasize the point of making it so real. So you're believing that faith is real, that substance is real to you. So you have confident expectation that it's coming. Okay, so you can't cheat that either. That is a real thing. So the confident expectation of cure does that which no medical treatment can accomplish. Okay, so, all right. Failure is always due to an antagonistic autosuggestion by the patient. Okay, so that's why it's very important not to tell people what you are working on, especially if it's working on them. And even if you are working on something for yourself, it's better not to speak about those things. Okay, so this is basically what happens, even if it's for you and you're talking about it. So these autosuggestions that people have. Okay, so arising from objective doubt of the power of medicine or relic, or from the doubt of the truth of the theory. Okay, so many of us, either from too little emotion or too much intellect, both of which are stumbling blocks in the way of prayer. It says or right there, but I think it's supposed to say of. Okay, so cannot believe that which our senses deny. To force ourselves to believe will end in greater doubt. Okay, so yeah, that's what he's talking about. The effortless way. Do not force yourself to believe. Okay, you have to find it within you. That's why creating the imaginal acts so real and vivid to you that you have no choice but to believe them. Okay, that they're true. You know, that's why we have the courses in Neville book. That's why we go over the attention. That's why we do the leaf exercise, because we're developing the muscle of the mind to make things real in our imaginations, because we're building the muscle of the imagination to be able to conquer the belief systems that we have. Okay, so, to avoid such counter-suggestion, the patient should be unaware objectively. Okay, so subjectively, I mean, you're going to be creating a scene with them. So obviously it's objectively. Subjectively, you're going to be communicating with them, but not objectively, not in your 3D world. Okay, so of the suggestions which are made to him, the most effective method of healing or influencing the behavior of others consists in what is known as the silent or absent treatment. Okay, so I want you to use this with everything that you're creating. Okay, so the silent or absent treatment. When the subject is unaware objectively of the suggestion given him, there is no possibility of him setting up an antagonistic belief or doubt. Okay, so it is not necessary that the patient know objectively that anything is being done for him. It doesn't matter that he knows what you're working on for him. It does not matter. Okay, so it actually makes it more effective when he doesn't matter, when he doesn't know. Okay, so from what is known of the subjective and the objective processes of reasoning, it is better that he should not know objectively of that which is being done for him. Exactly. Okay, so the more completely the objective mind is kept in ignorance of the suggestion, the better will the subjective mind perform its functions. The subject subconsciously accepts the suggestion and thinks he originates it, proving the truth of Spinoza's dictum that we know not the causes that determine our actions. Okay, so that's through like the law of thought transmission as well. They talk about that, how you can implant a thought in somebody else, and they think because they randomly came up with this thought that it originated from them, but really it originated from the person that did it. Like if I were to give you an auto-suggestion, like if I were to mentally yell your name, that you were doing something in my imagination and made it so real that you would have a thought that would send you onward to complete or accomplish the thing that I told you to do in my mind that you had already done. Okay, so and you're going to think that thought originated from you, but really it originated from me. Okay, it was in the subjective world. Okay, so all right, the subjective. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, the subconscious mind is the universal conductor, which the operator modifies with his thoughts and feelings. Visible states are either the vibratory effects of subconscious vibrations within you, or they are the vibratory causes of the corresponding vibrations within you. Okay, so a disciplined man never permits them to be causes unless they awaken in him the desirable states of consciousness. Okay, so be disciplined and be the watchman at the gate. Okay, so of your mind. With the knowledge of the law of reversibility, the disciplined man transforms his world by imagining. And see, you have all the information now, guys. I mean, if you just have to be disciplined now, okay, so now you can transform everything, create anything that you want by the knowledge of the law of reversibility, by using this telepathy, by all these different things that we're learning. You have that ability now. Okay, so the only thing that's stopping you is not applying it. Okay, so the beautiful idea he awakens within himself shall not fail to arouse its affinity in others. He knows the Savior of the world is not a man, but the manifestation that would save. The sick man's Savior is health, the hungry man is food, the thirsty man's Savior is water. He walks in the company of the Savior by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. By the law of reversibility, that all transformations of force are reversible, the energy or feeling awakened transforms itself into the state imagined. I love this part. This is a part that, I mean, many years ago, I would just skip to the end of these chapters and just read this sometimes, because this would help me live in that law of assumption, using the wish fulfilled, always. Okay, so he never waits 4 months for the harvest. If in 4 months the harvest will awaken in him a state of joy. Then, inversely, let me go back right here. Okay, so the law of reversibility. What does that tell you with the law of reversibility? Okay, so then inversely, using the law of reversibility, the joy of the harvest now will awaken the harvest now. Okay, so he never waits 4 months for the harvest. If in 4 months the harvest will awaken him a state of joy, then using the law of reversibility, the joy of the harvest now will awaken the harvest now. So if you can find that feeling, okay, so if you can sustain the feeling of the harvest being now, even though it hasn't come yet, but if you find the joy of that, then it will come on its own. Okay, so it will have no choice but to come to you. Okay, now is the acceptable time to give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. All right, guys, this was awesome. Love you guys very much. This is this is Prayer, the Art of Believing by Neville Goddard. And I will go ahead and start doing little gems like this all the time on this new format that I have here. Okay, guys, give me a thumbs up and give me one thing you guys are grateful for, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you.